Welcome to the Food Founders interview from Frog Hop, where we talk to the owners, leaders, and influencers shaking up the food and drink industry. Ethically sourced and sustainably packaged, of course, Gnaw wants its new products to take you on a journey, not just of taste, but through time and memory. Since 2010, Gnaw has championed a planet-friendly approach, crafting chocolate with solar-powered production, compostable materials, and vegetable-based inks to prioritise both people and the planet. How have they navigated the challenge of sustainable luxury and expanded from a handful of local sellers to a global customer base with Next and Moonpig amongst their stockists? I'm very excited to find out from Managing Director Mike Navarro. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, Stephen, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Can you tell us about Gnaw and why the business started?
Of course. So business started in 2011. It was founded by Matt and Terry, a husband and wife partnership, and they originally owned a sweet shop in Norfolk, and they had sweets and chocolates, and I guess it's fair to say that the chocolates weren't filling them with joy in terms of fun and excitement and service levels, and they had an epiphany moment, which was, if you want it done right, do it yourself. So they left the sweet business behind and they went straight into chocolate, really handmade chocolates, where you had chocolate coming through. You had a Ferris wheel which was scooping up the chocolate, bringing it round, depositing it into handheld molds, hand scraped in the chiller, setting in there. That then moved on to around about 7,000 square foot site. Another move, and now we're in a 31,000 square foot site. So it's been a really big build up in terms of our scale and scaling up our machinery as well to get us ready for long-term future growth opportunities.
And how about yourself? How did you come to join the business, and what were you doing before?
I was in a very different business before. So my background is Unilever, then moving on to Kimberly Clark, then into rice. So I had a lot of FMCG blue chip corporate experience, which it's great, but it does take quite a long time to get things done. And I like to get things done rather quickly. So SME really appealed to me. I wanted some experience, so I went into the rice business, and then had a chat with Matt and Terry, who wanted to step back from the business and really set it up for long-term growth opportunities. So I had a chat with those about 2 years ago, joined the company about 15 months ago. So that's where I come into it.
So what's currently in the range?
We started off with bars and with hot chocolate spoons, then added novelty to those for gifting for Christmas and things like that. We've now expanded, so we've expanded on bars, our flavour profiles. We've got around about 29 different bars of chocolate right now, which for our scale is immense. It's a huge range, and I think we cover a lot more flavor profiles than anyone else. And where I'm taking it now is around not just wonderful tasting chocolate, but flavor creations. Something that you say, wow, how did they do that in chocolate? It actually tastes like, for example, New York cheesecake, which is one of the flavors that we brought to market this year about 2 months ago. And reality is, it does taste like cheesecake. So that's where we're trying to take it on bars, which is to try to lift the experience and create something that brings a point of excitement and surprise and wonder, and you say, wow, it actually does do what it says on the tin. We brought hearts to market, so these are beautifully topped hearts for Valentine's, for anniversaries, or just to say I love you, right? Because you love every day of the year. Where I'm taking innovation now is to try to do stuff that just hasn't been done. So our hot chocolate spoons are solid chocolate, which we top and we put marshmallows in and you mix that with milk. And what I've taken that to now with the team is more of a soft scented range. So think of a beautiful ganache within that shell of chocolate. So when you stir that into your hot milk, it melts and it goes gooey, and you lift the spoon out, and all that, for example, which could be a creme brulee filling, or it could be a bagel tart filling. It all drips through, and it creates the most amazing, luxurious, indulgent sensation. So those are things that are coming out. And the last thing is mocha melts, which again is a ganache filled chocolate shell, which is specifically designed to put into coffee to then create the most ideal mocha. Because if you think about it, a coffee bean and a chocolate bean, they're very similar in terms of properties and they pair extremely well. And my view, if you want a great mocha, you've got to use real chocolate. And our chocolate is 40% cocoa. So it's amazing. And when you then get the filling that comes through, you just lift that coffee and you lift the mocha to a totally different level. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm a very much a coffee person, so I'm intrigued by. I'd always seen as mocha as being what's the word? Sacrilege. I'm assuming if you go to the coffee shop, it's usually powder they're sticking in the mocha, aren't they? So.
It's either a powder or a syrup. And you know what? Nah, well, you get what you get, right? But if you're using something that's designed for purpose and it's, real mocha uses real chocolate. And if you've got that filling in as well, you totally just lift it.
Okay, I'm sold. Has the business always kind of focused on those sort of flavor combinations of a chocolatier, if you like, or is that something that's kind of become part of the business?
I think we've evolved. So, part of what we've done with our packaging this year, for example, is to try to replicate the way we want people to feel when eating the chocolate on the pack design. Um, and it's got a little bit more wonder, a little bit more, I say it's like funky pizzazz around it, which is about really showcasing the ingredients that we use and showcasing the wonder of the chocolate. And that's a long way away from our previous designs, which took us to where we are. But now it's around, really appealing to our core consumer profile, talking to them about what they want and making sure that we deliver.
And how long does it take to go from the idea of a New York cheesecake flavored bar to having that on the shelves?
It all depends upon how complicated you want your output to be, right? So when I was doing New York cheesecake, I literally locked myself in the kitchen for probably about a week to figure out what the best outputs were. I'd make it, I'd bring it out, I'd test it within the business, I'd go back in, I'd tweak it, and ultimately, I want to get the biscuit crunch in there because you want biscuit coming through in a New York cheesecake. You want the cheesiness, but also you want to blend it with the chocolate because it is still chocolate. You don't want one flavor to overpower the other. So it's getting the parameters just right so that you create what you hope you're going to have as the chocolate bar. So it's about a week. It can take longer to get the initial. Then I've got to upscale it and say, okay, how would that work in production, right? So then it goes to my operations team. They're then going to say, does it work? Does it not? Because it's easy to do something in the kitchen, but then when you want to replicate it for mass, then you've got to make some certain adjustments. That can take up to a month, potentially longer if we need to buy some machinery to make it work. I then take it to consumers, see what they think about it. And I've recently started filming those responses actually because I love it and I love to see the reactions that we have, and we're just about to start using those reactions on our social media as well because I think it just tells 1,000 words. Um, and then we've got to get the packaging right. So does the packaging replicate what we want people to feel when they're eating it, and do we get across the right imagery and the right story? So that can take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to get the creative sorted, and then you got the print process, the full production runs. You're talking in total, I'm guessing around about 7 months would be a pretty fast go to market. For example, I'm looking at for January, I'm getting in the kitchen with my Ottolenghi cookbook. If you're lifting it to Ottolenghi style, you're really taking it to a totally different level. And I'm just going to have a go. And it may not hit the market, but I want to see what I can do and use such wonderful ingredients to recreate some wonderful pudding experiences. That will take me a lot longer because you don't get to become one of the premier chefs in the world overnight. And ultimately, there's going to be a lot of trial and error, a lot of fun in creating what I think will be absolutely beautiful puddings brought to life in chocolate.
Do you remember where or what gave you the idea for the New York cheesecake or any of the other new flavors actually?
We do a lot of desk research, seeing what's trending, what's coming up, but ultimately, it's what do you think resonates with people? Things that are trending might not, actually resonate, or you might not be able to make it real in chocolate. So, everything that we do, we test. We test it out with people. We get their reactions. We get their feedback. I watch an awful lot of cooking programs, buy a lot of cooking books, see what's happening in terms of trends, and at the moment I'm focused on pudding ranges. So trying to bring either nostalgia or wonderful moments, which could be, for example, we've got a raspberry mojito chocolate bar, which you get the raspberry and bam, you get the mojito coming afterwards, right? And for me, it's about all those great barbecues that you may have had and trying to bring back the memories of those through chocolate. So it's about bringing the experience with what's trending, with what we love to eat, and trying to create something that's really special.
And what sort of things do customers and consumers tell you about your products?
They love them. The new packaging has gone down extremely well, we did it in house. Actually, I'm really proud of the team that did that. They took the brief, and they just totally made it their own, and I think they did a stunning job. The flavor profiles, so we hit the streets of Norfolk, and we went into Norwich, and the team were filming all day. And literally, we had a selection of our New York cheesecake bars, we had our hot sticky toffee pudding bars, and we had our raspberry mojito bars. And just seeing the reactions of people going, wow, that actually tastes like cheesecake. It's like, how do you do that? Well, bit of trial and error for sure, and then getting the bases right. Yeah, people are really loving what we're doing. It fills me with a lot of confidence about the direction that we're going.
And are you still manufacturing in Norfolk?
Yeah, we're here. We're in Norwich, a fine city.
How is it being in Norwich in terms of, I guess, all kind of aspects of the business in terms of, selling as well as the operations side and building a team and all that kind of thing?
It's beautiful. It doesn't matter where you're based, really. I've been based down near Brighton. I've been based over in Kent, and I'm now based over here. So you have people locally. You can bring in people, and ultimately, the factory that we have is ideally situated for us. We have easy access to Norwich and to all of Norfolk in terms of getting feedback. We've got a solar powered roof so that everything that we make gets powered by the sun, which is totally what we're about. That we wrap our bars in home compostable materials because it's important to leave a better planet behind, right, for our kids. We invested a few years ago in a solar powered roof so that we don't have to draw on the grid. We think it's the right thing to do, so we just do it. And in the long term, it will pay back. In the short term, it's just the right thing to do. And the government, the local governments have been very supportive in terms of having us in Norwich, and it's been great.
And where are you selling at the moment? And how's that kind of those channels evolved?
We sell primarily to what we call the specialty sector. So that would be department stores, like Gerald's in Norwich or Next. We sell to farm shops, delis, garden centres, primarily. We've got some lines in Waitrose at the moment on Christmas specials. And we do an awful lot of export. About 25% of what we do goes outside of the UK, which is great. I think there's a lot more opportunity there, by the way. Where I want to take it now is to try to develop more of our mix in the country, though, expanding our geographical footprint a little bit more, but also, always within arm's reach. And always within arm's reach means that if you're in a supermarket, then you should be able to find it. If you're in a convenience store, you should be able to find it. Not all, but certainly some. So I'm looking to expand our reach there as well.
A Moonpig? That's an option for people adding chocolate as a gift.
Yeah, it's like an add-on.
How did that come about? Because that feels like a genius idea. Or was it just an accident?
No, I think a lot of what we do is gifting. So and Moonpig is an expression of gifting, isn't it? You are buying for someone else, so it made sense, and it was a natural link to tie those two things together.
How important is gifting to sales? How seasonal is the business? And how have you kind of focused on building those gifting channels?
Well, gifting is about 20% of the business, which is pretty good, right? Most of gifting for us is towards the end of the year in the build up to Christmas, but not all of our Christmas lines are along the gifting side of it. Um, so we do have little trio packs of our hot chocolate spoons, and we have a taste adventure, which is like a representation of most of the stuff that we do. So people can go out there and try lots of different flavors. We do lovely little penguins that you can put into your hot chocolate, where you've got little Smarties and marshmallows and a beautiful penguin. We have little sprouts that we have, which are made from various chocolates that look like Brussels sprouts. And now I'm looking at what am I doing next year? So where do I take novelty? I don't want it to be super niche, but it has to be beautiful in design. It has to taste wonderful, and there'll be things that I'll be doing using some of our really cool flavors, but in a novelty sort of range, specifically designed for Christmas. I think that's where and when you sort of segment adult and child, I think we've got a gap in child, which I'm going to fill for next year.
The exporting numbers sound very, very healthy. I mean, how has that come about and what are your main channels there?
We have set distributors, so we're active from Canada up to Scandinavia and all the way down to South Korea. So we are actively looking for more opportunities and partnering with the right distributors that can then take us to the retails. We don't have a team big enough to go and pick off all the retailers in each of the countries. So we'll have our representatives that will do that for us. But at the moment, it's good, it's healthy, and we are looking to expand that as well. So I want to grow homegrown, and I want to grow export as well.
And how big's the team?
We've got about 30 people, so it's a small team, but it's like that Goldilocks moment, right? So I'm looking to bring some automation into the business so that I can grow without having to add too many people, which means that I can upskill my people, right? So they then get better skills, they become much more rounded, they can run machinery, and we can increase our outputs. That's gone down extremely well because who doesn't want to be upskilled? And it means that I can keep my people cost as low as I can do. And right now, with all the interventions that we see, it's really tricky. So that's important. And if I can grow and upskill my people and use the people that I've currently got to increase my output by 50%, then that would be a perfect moment.
Can I ask how you funded the business so far?
It's 100% owned by the founders of the business. So
Oh, they're still in the background.
yeah. Well, in the background, in the foreground, um, founders are founders, right? So they are involved in the business. I meet up with Matt and Terry probably once a week. We chat all the time around what's going on, where we want to take the business next, and everything around the cocoa industry, which at the moment is an absolute nightmare. Cocoa prices have pretty much quadrupled in price, which is a problem. And that's primarily, I think, still, buoyed up and bullish due to market speculators holding the market higher than it should be. The fundamentals of the commodity marketplace should have dropped prices way below their current levels, but it hasn't done, and that's being held up by a few greedy city boys. But what can you do? So we talk all the time, and all the funding that we have, is primarily built from the founders and the owners of the business. Yes, we have banks, which we're very grateful to, but we haven't needed to go outside and get investment and give away part of the business. We own our direction, we own our strategy, and we own our future 100%. It is in our own hands.
You can build for the long term sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We can take longer term calls.
Is there anything you wish you could go back and tell yourself when you started with Gnaw that would have saved, I don't know, pain, missed opportunity?
Well, that's only going back 15 months, right? So, so not all that much, but I think, look, I mean, what would I say to anyone? I mean, hindsight is always a wonderful thing. But you can't look back and beat yourself up of things that you didn't know. We didn't know that cocoa would be at the current pricing. If I did, I would have bought 3 years worth of stock about 1.5 years ago. Well, I wasn't here then, but I would have bought it about a year ago, and I'd have been sitting very healthily. But you can't. I think the one thing I would say is when thinking about business strategy or products that you want to go into or brand new categories, mock melts does not exist as a category. We have to create not just awareness of the product, but awareness of the category. What do you do with it, right? No one knows, and it's scary because you've got to change people's thoughts, behaviors, and their knowledge base of what do I do with this lump of chocolate that's got some stuff in it, right? How does that make a mocha? What is a mocha? If it doesn't scare you, it's not worth doing. Because if it's easy, everyone's going to do it. And if everyone's going to do it, you're going to be me too. And I don't want to be me too. Yes, look, we do lovely mint chocolate and we do various flavors that other people do. But our direction and our flow is on doing stuff that is different, that is better, that has a wow factor in terms of what it delivers. And that's where we are trying to take those things. So it's scary to do something that's new. It's scary to create innovation that, you show your hand, the opposition can get there quicker. And they don't have to do all the research, right? R&D takes time. R&D costs an awful lot of money because you make mistakes as you go along until you find the right iteration of the truth. But you either do it and you lead it or you follow. I don't want to follow. I want to lead in terms of where we can take that advantage, get first mover advantage, but also bring some really good stuff to market. So for me, commit. If it's not scary, if it doesn't fill you with excitement, well, why bother doing it? And when you find it, commit to it, focus on it, drive it really hard. You will make mistakes. So learn fast, course correct, but more importantly, keep moving, because the minute you stop, someone else will overtake you. So keep going and make it happen.
Excellent. It sounds like very exciting times ahead for Gnaw.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much to Mike for joining us. You can find out about Gnaw Chocolate and buy online at www.gnawchocolate.co.uk. That's GNAW chocolate.co.uk. If you want to listen to some previous Food Founders interviews and get some inspiration, go to froghop.co.uk/podcast or search for Food Founders interviews wherever you get your podcasts. If you like what we're doing, please follow us or even give us a review. It all helps. Thanks for joining us and see you soon.